This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of October, 2025. So glad you could join us here today. Coming up a little later on in the program, we'll talk with Ethan Robson of agmarket.net to see what happens in those closing numbers. But first, we're going to hear from John Maman of Nutrien Financial, talking about some of the products and services they're offering for the farmers going into 2026, and also take a look at the new Nutrien Hub that was released last month and find out how that can be a part of your financial decision-making as well. And right now with John Maman of Nutrien Financial here at the world headquarters in Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. We've had a great day, and we've learned a lot about how we bring fertilizer from mine to field this morning.
It definitely was a great experience to see that, and not a lot of people get that opportunity to get a good understanding of the work that goes in. And really what was fascinating was how fast they can really make it work from mine to train going out. It's pretty quick.
Absolutely. This was my first time down underground as well, and it was pretty inspiring to see how hard our crews work, how safe they are in bringing that product to field, and doing so in a way that is fast as well.
All right, so going into the Nutrien Financial side of things, you and I talked at Commodity Classic, and we knew 25 was going to shape up to be a challenge this year. It may have been a little more challenging for some than others. I mean, as we look back on 25, what are some of the things that you're seeing from your customers or things that farmers maybe didn't expect even at the beginning of the year that they're having to deal with as they look to 26?
It depends on area. So 2025 started off with a lot of preventative plant in the south and worries that this was going to take effect elsewhere in the country. What we found was that once the crop went in the ground, it generally performed well, and we're in a fairly good position with respect to outcomes as we get into harvest. Now, the yield monitors are the ultimate ruler of that call. However, I think we're, as far as crop product and production, it's looking good there. Now, that's easy to say, as knowing that we've had some economic changes. You know, we've had a very rapid rise in interest rates over the last 2 years. That doesn't soften easily. We've had decreases in rates around 50 basis points in two adjustments. While that's nice to see, it's not enough to relieve the shock and the multi-year pressure that our growers faced. And so, while certain economic areas are predicting, solvency and liquidity to be flat or up, and more positivity over the next year, those are averages spread across the farm community. And so not everybody feels as positively about that after they get into the field and they realize the only way to outperform what we have economically is by pushing yield, albeit with potentially lower cash receipts than what might have originally been determined.
And we talked earlier with Rob Clayton, and he made the mention that some banks are looking at changing their approach to how they do ag lending, especially on the input side, and that's going to be a tough situation. I mean, farmers are going to have to pivot to make that work. What kind of things, especially from like a Nutrien Financial standpoint, are they doing? Can you offer or suggest to them to help them make that if their bank decides to pull the plug on that aspect?
Well, we hear that a lot, and that's I think an area where our growers can take solace in that this is exactly why Nutrien Financial exists. We have the ability to offer best-in-class terms, rates, and incentives for the products and services that we sell through Nutrien Ag Solutions. That gives relief to the overall impact and amount that an operating line can fund an operation. And it does so in a way that really is complementary. We're unsecured in our purpose within our input financing, and that complements that operating line. It always has. And so the best opportunity for our growers is really one that presents a discussion around the best terms, rates, and incentives of the year, knowing that things change. We need to make sure the right agronomic plan is complemented by an economic plan that starts in the beginning of the year and pivots, changes, alters any time that agronomic plan has changes throughout the growing cycle.
And, it kind of led into where I was going next. It kind of makes it smoother because you talk about, if you're talking with your crop advisor, you look at what this is the problem you're going to need to address. And then you talk about some of the products you guys offer, whether through Loveland products or whatever, that you can sit there and say, okay, now this is what we have to help solve that. But now, okay, how do I pay for that? You can go right to Nutrien Financial. And having that team there makes it easier for them to just kind of streamline that whole process, doesn't it?
It helps being a vertically integrated business. And that starts with our retail business and our fertilizer production corporately. But it is enhanced by our proprietary products, our Nutrien Financial portfolio. Think about some of the fungicide needs that we've had this summer in various areas of the country. That can be daunting enough to go out in the field, scout, and realize we need to make an application. And that the application is going to cost money and that you have to have a certain return on that application. We have those programs that are best in class so that at a moment's notice in the middle of the year, when cash flow is already tight, we can provide the cash flow means to be able to make that application with the confidence that it's going to provide both the agronomic benefit you needed to solve that pathogen issue, along with the flexibility that has a rate that's best in class so that it's economically viable as well.
And of course, to help make that even more streamlined, you guys have just launched a hub where you can put all that together. And now from the Nutrien Financial standpoint, when a user wants to look at that hub and see what you offer there from the company, what are they going to see? How does that make it easier for them to make these decisions?
Well, we've heard from a lot of our leadership that we're a click and mortar business. That means we're rooted in the agronomic integrity and service of our crop consultants, but we've provided what I consider a best-in-class resource to be present and viable digitally as well, so that as often as our supporting businesses and our people and our crop consultants are at that farm gate, there's a wealth of resources that exist aside from that, so growers can manage that at their own time, their own speed. Everything from crop plans to scouting reports to a full suite of financial services tools that make using our products easier from the beginning, whether it's an online application that's credit scored, auto scored in minutes, or it's a ability to use paperless statements and be able to really dive into the transactional history that you might have. It's end-to-end a very seamless process. And with that comes the opportunity for our growers to see the financing programs that are relevant for their area, to be able to use as a discussion point in planning, and really be able to view what those best-in-class offers are for their area specifically. It's not meant to show somebody in Iowa a cotton program. Mm-hmm. It's relevant for those specific areas based on where our growers reside, and they're tuned towards the cash flow needs, payment needs that ultimately make the most sense for them from a cash flow perspective too.
All right. Well, John, I know a lot of people are going to have to make some tough choices this year. You obviously are offering some great tools at their fingertips literally now to help them make some of those decisions. And hopefully next time you and I talk, we'll have some of the things that are outside of the realm of the farmers and the ag businesses have been taken care of, and maybe things are going in the right direction. So farmers can be a little more profitable next year, depending on how things roll.
Absolutely. Financing shouldn't be the impediment. It should be the complement. It should be a complement to what is done agronomically. And there's enough fear in the marketplace. This doesn't have to be a point of fear. It should be a point of opportunity for those that need to use this for cash flow means, for growth opportunities, and to make sure that they're positioned as well as they can be, regardless of economic climate. And I think that's the message that I really want to make sure people know, is that these tools exist whether times are challenging or times are bountiful. Mm-hmm. And there's opportunity in both areas to be even more purposeful with how we serve our growers.
All right, John Maman of Nutrien Financial has been our guest. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. Thanks again to John Maman of Nutrien Financial here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to take a short break and hear from the Iowa Soybean Association, and then we'll be back to look at the closing markets. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're back on Ag Matters PM, and it is time now to run down our closing markets, and we're being joined once again today by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. Ethan, let's go ahead and start taking a look at the grains. What did we see out of the trading day today?
Yeah, good days in the grains and oilseeds market. corn front month, D's corn new crop was up 4.25 at 417 and a quarter as well. That was good to see. November soybean staying resilient as well compared to last Friday, still above the $10 handle. Closed up a half cent at 10.07 even. Lagger of the day was a Chicago D Sweet, going back below $5 at 498 and three quarters, down 1.5 as well. But all in all, just considering how the last couple of days have been, soybeans remain the lagger, but to see it above $10 continuing to fight is a good thing to see.
Now, I was just going to ask you, I mean, soybeans, of course, has been under pressure, and especially in the last couple of weeks with everything going on with China and will they or won't they talk. But do you think the $10 level kind of a psychological barrier there for the market that they just don't want to cross that line if they don't have to?
I definitely think it is. Yeah, you get the psychological mark at $10, and then you have technical support on the charts at $9.90 as well. And so $10 the last couple of years have been a pretty good place to buy soybeans for the speculator as well. So you have to think that in part has to play in the markets. And then farmers find a way. Never underestimate the American farmer to store its crops. Farmers are finding a way to store its soybeans. They're looking at the prices right now on the Chicago Board of Trade saying front month doesn't work at 10.07. I'd rather hold it right now till March at 10.40 or go out to May or July at 10.66. So the carry's there right now. Important thing is you have to sell it as a farmer, and so that's what American farmers thinking right now.
And what's interesting is we've heard stories. Mark has been out to Nebraska, and he said along the way he saw piles of grain being put up at elevators already on the outside with those tarp piles. I mean, that kind of is telling, especially with that soybean market, that we're just holding on to it right now because there's not a lot of movement.
Exactly, 100%. Farmers are holding on to it, not giving it to the elevator and to the processors as well. And so JSA Ag Market keeps track of local basis bids as well. And so over the last week, 34 out of 54 different processors that we pay attention to their basis bids were firmer week over week on the soybean sector. And that's across processors all over the Midwest, all over the main production states for corn and soybeans. And so basis is really having to do the work here for these lower prices to get the farmers that's tight-fisted to go ahead and let loose of some of its crops.
All right, moving on to the livestock side of things, boy, cattle has just been on a rocket ship ride. Did that continue today?
It's been on a ride, but a relatively quiet day in the cattle for the first time, it feels like. So going over to the cattle side, live cattle relatively quiet, up 27 cents, 246.775. Feeder cattle, mixed bag down in the front months, up in the back half. But overall, tight fundamentals. I mean, it's the same story every day. Tight fundamentals continue to rule the market as well. The trade continues to pay close attention to the New World screwworm down in Mexico. Border remains closed there. That's going to be important to see how the trade responds to that. And so it's going to take a while to rebuild this herd. And it seems like every day people say the top's in, and this market just continues to prove us wrong here. So it's been definitely a pretty impressive bull run, that's for sure.
Well, definitely can't have a record-setting day every day, I suppose, in the markets. Checking out hogs, too. How did they fare?
Yeah, hogs up across the board as well, excuse me. December hogs finished up 45 cents at 83.60. A little bit of an interesting thing in the hogs, 2 days below the 50-day moving average on the technical side. Need to see a little bit more out of the hogs as well. And then just going big picture economy here too. Impressive run in gold and silver, and the stock markets have rebounded since Friday as well. So big picture economy-wise, stock markets, equities have some life to them, and the consumer looks like they're continuing to want to spend, and that's going over to the cattle side and the hog side as well.
All right, Ethan. Well, folks want to see some of that intel you've referenced today from agmarket.net. What's the best way for them to get their hands on that?
Yeah, give us a call here in Bloomington Normal at 1-800-779-1515. Visit us online as well, agmarket.net. Try out our 30-day free trial of our Intel or My Farm software. Be happy to help.
All right, Ethan Robson has been our guest here today. Thanks so much, Ethan, for your insight. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Yep, thank you. Have a great day.
That again with Ethan Robson of agmarket.net, and that puts us at a check of our closing numbers. You can find that online at iowaagnet.com. At the close, December corn up 3 3/4 at 4.16 3/4. November beans unchanged at 10.06 1/2. Soy meal up $1.60 at 2.7590 per ton. Soy oil 23 cents higher at 50.80. Chicago wheat down 1 1/2 at 4.98 3/4. Kansas wheat for winter is down 1/4 cent at 4.88 1/4. Kansas spring wheat up a penny at 5.26 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 2 1/2 at 5.51 even. Oats down 3 1/4 at 2.93. On the Merc live cattle up 35 cents at 242.17. Feeders down 45 cents at 379.72. Lean hogs up 45 cents at 83.60. Pork cutouts unchanged at $92. And Class 3 milk down 7 cents at 16.85. And that's been our closing market recap, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, X, and our YouTube channel, where you can check out all our video projects, including the latest of the Beck's Hybrids Harvest videos. The third one will be coming out here very soon. You can also go and check out our free podcast under the podcast tab at iowaagnet.com, or where you get your favorite podcasts, including YouTube, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. From the iARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Andy Peterson, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.